Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Sunday. This is Karen here, your favorite virtual assistant. And to kick this off, I'm going to pass the mic to you, Gail.
Hi, happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday live chat. I am Gail. I'm your corporate training facilitator. And as you know, my superpower is training people on customer service, communication, and all that other good stuff. But today we're really happy to have Dr. Janet Palmer with us. We are talking about what, Karen? What's our topic today?
Your purpose have no expiration date. That
Wow,
is
and
the
that's
topic for
so
today.
powerful.
Yeah.
So, welcome to a Sunday chat with us, Dr. Palmer. I know we had this conversation. I was saying, okay, what do I call her? Do I call her Dr. Janet or do I call her Dr. Palmer? Do I just call her Doc? So, welcome to our table. And this is a very interesting topic. But before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you come to this point in your life where we're talking about purpose and the power of our purpose today?
Surely, I'm deeply humbled to be with you and your audience today. And for me, because I am a Quaker, today is really first day. We don't call it Sunday, but call it first day because it
Okay.
is the
Mm-hmm.
first day of the week for us, and I guess for most people. This concept of living your purpose has been something that I have really lived. It was kind of scripted for me because I am the daughter of a preacher. And whatever that means to anyone out there, go right ahead with it. And as a result, that was something that always was an integral part of our communication, an integral part of our process as a family. It was basically understood that we were all born here for a purpose and that we had to actualize that and understand what that is all about. So, from the moment that you know yourself, it helps to look at the things that you like, listen to some of the things that people say about you that direct you in a certain way and begin to really enjoy who you are and find your clocking in point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I find out why is it so hard for a challenge, it's challenging, I should say, for most people to find their purpose in life or what their purpose is. Because a lot of us, we don't know what our purpose is in life. We're still trying to figure that out. But what is that stopping point for people that's like, what am I meant to do here? What should I be doing? We're just walking around here trying to, just living life. That's so. But not realizing maybe God has a great, maybe you're born here for a reason, right? But why is that? What do you
Well,
think
what
that is?
why it is that what? I'm sorry.
Why do you think people have a hard time finding their purpose?
Well, I think in part we need to take time, right? Very often we are very busy
Yeah,
and busy ourselves
right.
and don't take time to take inventory.
Yeah.
One, I wrote a book a couple of years ago, and it sort of originated from the concept of the global positioning system that
Mhm.
was put into cars. And I rented a car when GPS was just coming in, and I got the opportunity to be upgraded to a car that had GPS. And
Mhm.
so one of the things is you clock in where you are right now. So the minute you turn it on, it begins to calibrate to find out where you are. The
Right.
next thing is to look at where you want to go. It also enables you to take a scan of some of the things that are nearby.
Right.
Well, having had that experience with the global positioning system, it then sort of became something that I ruminated on. If there is nothing new under the sun, then I must also have a GPS within me. And because I am a Christian, it became God's perfect script.
Mm-hmm.
So I then am living God's perfect script for me, my internalized, my human GPS. And when I began to, one, look at where I am right now, look at all of the obstacles that I have to overcome and have overcome. Look at the successes that I've had. Look at the family I clocked into. Look at the things we like. Look at the things that we're not so impassioned about. Look at the things we're struggling with, right?
Right.
As we encompass all of those things and begin to really ask, why am I in the midst of all of this? What does my being centrally located with all of these things going on say about me and what I am supposed to be purposed in doing right now? What is my why?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, Dr. Palmer. But um, I can speak for myself when I say this, right? For me, growing up, I went to school. I did what I had jobs and all of that, but I never knew, like most people, what I was meant to do in this world, right? Like, what's the purpose of me being here? And I find that for me, when I became more spiritual in my belief, became anchored more to God, and decided to take that step, it really did help me define what my purpose is, right? Even sometimes I might not understand why not some of what I'm doing, but where it's going to lead me to, what this road is going to, where it's going to end. But I find joy in what I'm doing, and I find that this is the right path for me to do. Um, I just speak that for myself because I don't know who else might be experiencing this or might be going through this, right? Because I worked, but I was never happy, right? I went to school, but I was never really happy. I did it because one, I wanted to make my mother proud and kind of make myself proud. I felt like that's what I had to do. But now I'm realizing I am content and happy what I'm doing. So I think that to me makes the difference for being anchored to something, whatever that is. Because everybody doesn't believe in, don't call it God per se, but they call it universe, call it divine power, whatever that is, right? But I think that being anchored to something or having a higher belief helps to magnitude, some form of magnitude. That's just my, you know, tidbit to this comment. But I mean, I agree with you. I think that even do you think maybe mindset, right? Maybe that, or even some form of maybe trauma that you've been through, or things that you have, that little background noise from people that makes you think that you're not able to do great things in your life, or you ain't gonna be as nothing, or you will never be any. Some people don't have the most supporting systems of family or people. Do do you think that might play a role in maybe why people might have a hard time figuring out what they are to be doing in this world?
Again, yes. Just like the the global position system, it takes the environment
Yeah.
into consideration.
Hmm.
And so do we.
Hmm.
So, just as you described, and I thank you for that because you truly illustrated the fact that, irrespective of where we clock in, irrespective of our traumas, irrespective of our nurturing, loving environment, irrespective of an abusive
Right.
situation or a medically challenged or mentally challenged situation, there are always, when we take the time to take inventory and begin to really cherish the fact that I am still breathing in and out.
Yeah.
My body, irrespective of all that I've been through, there are certain things that my body still does without my saying so. Starting there, even I speak of in my book my brother who was mentally retarded. Towards the end of his life, he ended up with dementia. And so he was virtually bedridden.
Hmm.
And all of his needs had to be taken care of by either the feeding tube or assistance, right? Yet, there was an aura about him that rang true till the last breath he took on this side. And that was being a space where people could come and he would receive them in a loving,
Right.
unconditional manner. And even with dementia, that aura still remained.
Right.
And he drew people into his room because there was a peace that passeth all understanding and a sense of unconditional love
Yeah.
that defined his purpose here on earth. And so when we take the time to appreciate our environment, both internally and externally, irrespective of our obstacles, irrespective of our tragedies,
Yeah.
your purpose rises to the top. Your why rises to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, especially your brother being in the situation that he's in. But he still had a light, he still was a divine person. And I do also wonder, for those people that are even, I'll say this because even for when I can speak from my own experience, right? And I find that a lot of the times people have a hard time so much maybe not, I want to say jumping, but leaning into that, either starting a business or whatever that is that they want to start, right? Because that fear of not knowing, let's say for instance your business do blow up, right? And I know for me, I kind of dibble dabble. I always was in business, but I put a little bit, but not as I should have put, like kind of playing around with it until I decided, you know what, this year I'm gonna max it. I'm gonna do the best. I'm gonna jump in, not even think about it. Because naturally I'm a thinker. Like I'm always critically thinking of things and then that kind of beats me up, right? So I find that a lot of the times fear comes from not knowing how great you are, right? Not knowing how whatever it is that is for you, whether it's that starting a book, whether that's starting a business, whether that's whatever that thing is for anybody out there. I just want to truly say just jumping in and thinking about what possibly could go wrong or what could happen. Because really we're not really in control. What we could really do is put the step forward, do the best we can, and allow everything else to work how it's going to work. And when I try, at least for me, when I try to kind of manipulate things, or if I, no matter how much you plan, you only have only limited of control when things happen. So I say all of this to say this, to anybody, especially to the listeners out there, go into your book, Dr. Palmer, right? You just mentioned your book. Let's talk about Human GPS, God Perfect Script.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going, especially the name of the book, right? Were you going to something personal at the time to come up with the name? I know you mentioned that your father was a preacher, but what's behind the name, right? Because it's a very unique name to a book.
Mm-hmm. And I love the analogy
Yeah,
of the GPS.
right, to your
And
life.
yeah, I really thought it was very interesting. I loved it. But what I will say, Dr. Palmer, I live in Barbados. And the challenge I have with the GPS is that sometimes when you're trying to get to somewhere, it only recognizes the highways, those big main roads. The little
Yeah.
side roads, it doesn't acknowledge those. So, you need to go down a side road, but it doesn't tell you that. But that is where your destination is. And it's interesting because sometimes, especially if you're a spiritual person, really and truly, I don't think we're supposed to go down the side road, even if that's where our destination in our mind is. We're really supposed to stay on the straight and narrow. And I will also say that sometimes that is not as easy as it looks. Like, it is really great to find your purpose and know what you're
Yeah.
about, what you stand for, what boundaries you need to draw. But I do know, as you said earlier, it is not easy. Like, we are so busy trying to survive and trying to live one day after the next, to find the time to sit down and say, okay, really and truly now, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? How
Mm-hmm.
do I get to where I need to be? Like, really, how do I get there? What do I need to do? And I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think it's going to help others who don't know how they need to get there. We all know we need a purpose, Dr. Palmer. We
Right.
just don't know how to find it, some of us. And sometimes we need a little hand holding and, stroking, and it's going to be okay. Yes, you can do this. So I quite understand what Karen is saying, because entrepreneurship on top of normal everyday life, that is a whole different
Mm-hmm.
beast. So
Right.
now your purpose really has to be the foundation on which you're building your everything on, your personal life, your professional life. Your purpose has to be it, in a nutshell. In a nutshell, Dr. Palmer.
You guys are really
Ah.
percolating today. And one of the interesting things that what you're both saying is that our purpose and our why and our human GPS and our global positioning system, they all require updates. And just as any electronic apparatus that we're using today, just as our cars, just as anything, there is either a refresh button, there is either a reset button, or there are periodic updates. Well, our
Mhm.
why, our created purpose also requires updating. And during that period of update, on your phone, there are no emails that can come in, no phone calls that can come in. Nothing can get done during the time of the update. The same thing happens for us. We have got to clock into ourselves and assess from the crown of our head to the sole of our feet. Hey, what is this thing that I'm pursuing? You asked what precipitated
Mhm.
my human GPS book. Well, as I said before, it was being in the car with the global positioning system. The key question is not what predated it, but what postdated it.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me to write a book in 2019, because in 2021, I got diagnosed with an aggressive breast cancer. So, okay, how does purpose have to do with this now? Right?
Right.
So, how does all of what I had been known for get woven into my current experience? And when I found out, I was in the car and in traffic. So going to my destination and going back home to get to bed and cover my head would be equally as long. One wasn't better than the other. So I sat in the car in traffic and I said, okay, God, the only one that's surprised by this is me. What did you have in mind? Because this would not be one of the tools I would have put in my toolbox. And he very clearly said to me that this was a conversation between the devil and myself. Have you seen my servant Janet? And I basically said, okay, so since you've got it, I'll just keep on going. And that's exactly what I did. Automatically, like I tell all my clients, I tapped into my resources, I tapped into my coaches, I tapped into this one. And at the end of the day, they said, Janet, you're rock solid. You got this. And one of the beautiful experiences for me was that what I had been telling others all along worked for me. It ran through my veins. And so as I was getting chemo, I would walk into the chemo center because you are walking around with this pole with your bag. And I said, okay, so this is going to be the first time in my life at 60 something years old, I can do a pole dance. So every time I had to go to the bathroom, I would push my pole and do my dance. And everybody's looking at me, is she gone? Is there something seriously wrong with her? And I'm like, I'm pole dancing. You don't understand. I have waited so long to be a pole dancer. And this is it. I had been practicing. My hair would go to my shoulder and I'd chop it off. And I had been practicing that my whole life. The only thing I had not practiced or tried was being bald. So when my hair all went and I was shiny bald, I was like, okay, how can I make this work? So I started wearing different earrings in each ear. I have always loved glasses, and my glasses always have to fit my outfit and they have to be really a statement. So glasses have always been a statement. So now I had the glasses and the different earrings as my way of rocking my bald. So my why never changed. My why was, if I can help somebody as I go along, then my living shall not be in vain.
Mm-hmm.
So my living in my current experience as a breast cancer patient, survivor, who is going through treatment, there are people within that new environment that I can help. And so if I walk in the certainty that no weapon formed against me will prosper, and that every day that I awaken, my lungs know what to do, my eyes know what to do, my feet know what to do. And whatever my body gives me, whatever situation I find myself in, I will rejoice. I will give thanks. And so my purpose continued in the face of a death sentence.
Wow.
What is the update for that moment in time?
Wow. Wow. It's interesting how it seems like you was being prepared for something that you obviously you didn't know, right? But I find that you're just the grace that how you dealt with that situation was very graceful because nobody knows how they're gonna act when they hear they have some form of cancer. Like nobody really knows how you're gonna react to that or anything terminal. That's not have to be cancer, right? But the fact that you was able to just rock it, right? With you still didn't have the attitude it's not gonna beat me, I'm gonna beat it, right?
Well, I'm
And
still, and I
right.
mean, I went to the doctor earlier this month because I was having lower back pain,
Mm-hmm.
and they did an MRI because I did the physical therapy and none of that made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And they did an MRI and they say, yeah, there's some real degeneration of L4, L5. Well, there was an incidental finding. They found a mass on my left kidney.
Oh,
Had
wow.
I not asked for a
Mhm.
copy of the report and asked for the disc so I could get a second opinion, I would never have known because the doctor didn't even see it. It was one
Mhm.
sentence below what he had been looking for, and he didn't see it. So
Wow.
when I went back to him and I said, excuse me, uh, did you see this? Oh my God, Janet, I didn't see it. Well, we know who won't be doing my back surgery, right? But
Right. Right.
I, I am
Ah,
scheduled.
Right.
I
Dr.
am now.
Palmer.
No, I'm just being honest.
No, that's different.
Well, you know what they say? They
It's
say medicine is not an exact science. Is what they tell you.
yeah, but
But I
I
agree
would
with
like.
you. They wouldn't be doing that. They wouldn't be doing
Yeah,
my back surgery either.
Well,
I
I mean,
agree.
I'm not necessarily looking for the stray dog when I'm on my way to the supermarket, but if I see the stray dog, I'm gonna stop, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You're just saying.
That and given the fact he came into the room and he's like, "Well, Janet, given all that you've been through and da da da," he was not devoid of my history, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So there would have been a little more. He could have been a little more attentive, maybe. When it's only
yeah.
the
I
next
agree.
sentence,
I
Right.
agree.
we're not talking about a paragraph. There were 3 lines. He told me about line number 1 and line number 2. There was line number 3. He didn't say anything about.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I
My mouth
mean,
is open.
No.
Let me close it up again.
But I'm saying,
and
Dr.
so
Palmer, no,
I
seriously, I think that
digress. And so
I
I
Wow.
think
digress.
things happen. I think things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
maybe the reason was so you could find out this
Yeah.
person that is supposed to be looking after you, and giving you 300% of themselves, you're only
Miss
getting
something.
100%, so maybe it's time to make a shift. And I loved you talked about resetting and stuff. My favorite word, since I was severed and had to survive COVID and try to find what I'm going to do, and my favorite word is recalibrate. Sometimes you have to recalibrate. Like, okay, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? Let me just erase everything and let me just put in this is the new path. This is the new direction.
Right.
Let's recalibrate. But I'm still saying everything happens for a reason.
I
And if, as
agree.
you said, God's conversation was, here is my servant Janet, and I understand the backstory there as well. Sometimes things happen to give us discernment.
Mm-hmm.
It opens our eyes to other things that may have
Mm-hmm.
been going on that we are unaware of. So I'm sorry they're not going to be doing your back surgery, but I'm glad they're not going to be doing your back surgery.
But
Right.
what I'm also saying is that,
Ah,
despite that whole story, the mass on my left kidney, I still don't know. I'll find out what it is next week. But as I was coming out this morning, because I had to get a thyroid scan, right? Um, I said, well, God, there's more to my life than this, right? This chasing cancer is not what my life is about.
Mm-hmm.
My life has always been if I can help somebody, not if I can help Janet.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to just move this off of Janet for a minute, right? And enable me to embrace a mindset, Karen, as you said, that is bigger than me. I still have to ensure that I drink and eat healthfully. I still have to ensure that I rest appropriately, that I engage in things that I know replenish me,
Mm-hmm.
which is exercising, massages, and all of that stuff. Those are an integral part of what makes me able to help somebody as I go along. And even more so now, I know that I'm going to be bombarded, right, with more and more and more insular situations that will cause me to want to look in. And I'm not going to stop going to the doctors and getting checked. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But my mindset is going to be one that this is all to help somebody else who is being bombarded with obstacles, being bombarded with struggles, being bombarded with whatever as they are pursuing their goal, their
Right.
why, their purpose, right? Because in the book I understand, it says, in this life, you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. So my responsibility is to not just vocalize, but to live my life in such a way that knows that, yeah, okay, we're going to have tribulations. We're going to check them out. We're not going to be, irresponsible and not check them out. Check them out. But we're not dwelling here. My
Right.
life is greater than this.
Right.
There is an exceeding abundance to my life. And my desire is to tap and impact and transform the lives of 1 billion people before I check out. And so being consumed with cancer, 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 cancer is not going to get me to the billion.
Right.
So as I come back, as I did this morning, I get myself ready to be here, to meet with you, to communicate just how you, in the midst of life, pursue, write the vision and keep it plain.
Right. Right. No, I mean, I hope people are listening to that. What Dr. Palmer just mentioned. She pretty much essentially she's saying, even though she's going through something right now, she's not going to allow that to control her life. Right? She still have a life to live to help other people, which is her purpose. So now let's pivot a little bit. I know that you help women that are 50 plus, right, find their purpose in life. So let's talk about that. What made you want to help women in that particular age category, 50 plus, right? Let's talk about it. What's behind what's the joy and what made you want to do that?
Well, in part because I'm right there, a little over there,
No.
a lot over there. But also 50 is the new adolescent, right?
Yes.
We are sitting at 50 looking at the 25-year-old who we still think we have it like that mentally.
Mhm.
And they are moving and shaking corporately or societally. And we are now in the middle and we're questioning. I remember when I was the go to person at 25. Do I still have it? Am
Mm.
I am I as quick? Am I as beneficial to society, to my job? At 50, some people are getting ready to say goodbye to their children because their children are off to college and
Mhm.
out of the house. And they're now beginning to be empty nesters. Well, for 10, 15, 20 years, I was mom. I was the go-to person. I was the, chauffeur. I was the cook. I was the everything.
Mhm.
I'm not that anymore. Who am I?
Right.
So, and then at 50, you're looking at your parents who you're beginning to sound more like, and you're beginning to even think more like them. And you're like, what happened to me?
Right.
Where am I? I don't know this person. And so that's a part of what sort of drew me to really helping people who are 50 plus and women who are 50 plus navigate that space.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, I know when I was younger, right? 50 to me seems old, right? When I was in my teens and, younger years, 50 to me back then was like, oh, you like a grandmother. But 50 now is not that. 50 now is sexy. 50 now is like you have a certain kind of wisdom and discernment about yourself and things around you, what you want. And somebody had mentioned LinkedIn post, what age would you rather be, right? And to be honest, I don't want to be 25. I don't care to be 25. I hate it. But I like the age that I'm in now because for me, it's like I really tapped into who I am and to know more of myself, right? So I'm like, I see women, like I see Taraji P. Henson, Angela Bassett, those women that are 50 plus, honey, they are killing it. So 50 is a new 30. Okay. I'm just going to let y'all know. 50 is a new 30 now. They're putting shades on
I
the young girls.
I love the 50s. I just want the
Mhm.
body of a 35-year-old. That's it. I love having the wisdom of
Yeah.
being in my 50s. I just want my body to look like I am in my 30s. If somebody could tell me how to do that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
By listening to your body
Mhm.
and realizing that your body also has a voice
Yeah.
and your body also has a desire.
Mhm.
And when we give to our body what our body is asking for, it will be faithful, and it is faithful,
Mhm.
which is something that you could only get being 50. Because when you are younger, you are
Mhm.
very competitive.
Mhm.
And if you look at them in the gym, if you still go to the gym, you see them competing with each other and they're flexing and it's not listening to their body.
Mhm.
And because youth, there's a resiliency to youth, you're
Yeah,
not cognizant of the damage that you're doing.
that's true.
And so competing with somebody else that you really don't even know what enables them to do what they do. You're just wanting what you see, right?
Yeah.
But when you become older and your body says, hey, hold up, pump the brakes. We can't run 70 miles a week and think that that's okay. But you know what? If you do 10 minutes 3 times a day, you got your 30 in.
Mhm.
If you walk up the stairs for half the flights and then take the elevator, you got some steps in.
Mhm.
So again, it is that recalibration, it is that refresh, it is that reset, that and updating that is essential, enabling you to be true, not just to you, but to your purpose.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you, what are three tips you could give someone who is maybe wanting to find a purpose or having struggle, especially now, people losing their jobs, right? So what can we provide to the people that they could take home and actually do at this moment?
One of the first things you can do is just sit with you
Mm-hmm.
and jot down the things that you like, the things that you have been affirmed as being positive and contributions to the world. Asking the question, what is one or two things that are issued in the world or in your environment that you can solve?
Mm-hmm.
And as you look at that, jot down those three and jot down how you perceive the resolution of that. And as you define that, you will then look at how your belief systems and how your value systems also want to address those issues in the world or in your environment. And that will give you an indication of your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And after you have written that down, look at how who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, infiltrates that very feeling right now. And if you were 70 or 80, how does that, who you are at 70 and 80, get anchored by answering that question?
Yeah, and that's some good tips. I think that that's definitely good help for the people to take on. So let me ask you that problem. In closing for today's live, how can people reach you? I'm gonna share a screen because it's gonna have the QR code for those who want to put it on their phones. And, hold on 1 second, guys. Give me 1 minute.
While you're pulling that up, you can reach me at janetpalmer.com.
I think my thing is
That's
acting up.
JanetPalmer.
Okay, so here
And
it is.
peruse my website. And you can also click on the QR code. If you can just make it a little bigger, that would be great.
Okay,
Um,
let me see.
for my book, the book is in black, but the QR code for seeing me is in orange. And again,
Okay.
it's janetpalmer.com. I'd love to chat with you and help you emotionally navigate to a place of certainty, clarity, and confidence.
There you go, guys. There you have it. So, in closing, Gail, do you have any last comments? Ladies, any last comments before we close in for today?
No, Dr. Palmer, you shared so many golden nuggets with us today, especially for me, my biggest takeaway was the true importance of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my message to everybody watching is if you have not yet taken the time to step back and figure out what your purpose is, where you want to go, how you want to get there, you need to take that step back before you can even go forward in the right way. I know it's going to be time. You may think you don't have the time, but the benefit of doing that is going to give you back the time that you may not have because your mind is all over the place, you're scrambling, you're confused, and purpose will give you peace as well as focus. So, Dr. Palmer, I wanted to thank you. That was my biggest takeaway, actually. We never have time to look after ourselves, invest in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, do that deep, reflective thinking in a quiet space with no distraction. It's like taking yourself on a retreat. We always think, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. And we never do, but we really need, and it's just February, we still have time to do what we need to do to continue to make 2023 one of the best years that it can be for us. So I wanted to thank you for that message.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
if you're having difficulty doing that on your own, as Gail says, this is February, and there are still 10 months. And
Mm-hmm.
if you work with me in 10 months, you will be vastly different. You will have certainty, you will have clarity, and you will have confidence in you, irrespective of your obstacles, irrespective of your struggles. So reach out to me. It's janetpalmer.com. And I'd love to be your emotional navigator.
All right, guys. I hope today's
Sounds good.
live. Yeah, I hope today's live was. Listen, I hope you guys taking the nuggets, definitely the lessons, right? Because it's all about really learning and and about yourself and growing, right? At least for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's what it's all about. But
Yeah.
I hope you guys took in today. I hope you guys learned a lot today. And because this is why I really wanted Dr. Palmer to come in here and have this discussion because in a world where so many uncertainties are going on, right, we need to really find a way to hound into yourself, right? Meditate into you. If that's for you, meditation. Find what that is that you love and that finds you joy. So, guys, have a great
Thank you so much for the
Sunday.
opportunity again. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Take care.
Bye. Bye.